Hi, I'm Deborah Poneman, founder of Yes to Success seminars, where we share knowledge and tools to help you live your ultimate life. So last week I said I would continue our discussion about power coming from the inside out. And I think we could spend a lot of weeks talking about power, but I want to start out today with a quote from Master John Douglas, a great healer who lives in Australia. He said this, and I quote, "You can do and say anything in the world because there are very few people who can see what's coming from inside of you, what's really cooking in the oven. But the master angels and all of the great beings are only concerned with what is cooking in your oven, not what you're flapping about, saying and doing on the outside, trying to appear like something. It's like putting a sticker on your car that you're a vegan. All right, congratulations. But what's the real content of your heart? That's what the angels see. I mean, they see everything, but they're not concerned with what you're trying to do and say and how you're trying to appear to the world. It's what's within you that they see. That is how you are deemed worthy, deserving, and allowed to have greater bliss, growth, and happiness. Wow. So, what is the real content of your heart? That's what the angels see. They're not concerned with what you're trying to say and how you're trying to appear to the world. It's what's within you that deems you worthy and deserving of a fabulous life. So, what we have to do if we really want growth and bliss and happiness and a fabulous life is to stop fooling ourselves. And that truth will set you free. So the other day, two of my friends came to visit, and they are both transformational leaders. Him, you've probably even seen on Oprah. And we were out to lunch and we were having a grand old time sharing our horror stories. His story was about his ex-wife and how he will never be able to get ahead because he signed a horrible divorce agreement that no matter how much he makes, it's gone. I actually went online after we were together and I read an interview with him in 2008, 13 years ago, and he was telling the exact same story in the interview about how he had to make a lot of money because of this monstrous ex-wife, and what he was left with was practically nothing. And then his girlfriend, my dear friend, also had a story about her ex and how he's poisoning her kids against her and what a master manipulator he is. And she didn't know if her kids would ever come back around. And then it was my turn. And I had my story about how I can't believe that there are people who I've never done one thing to except be loving and supportive, who I found out said some really nasty things behind my back, and they tried to sabotage my success in very subtle but manipulative ways. And I'm going on, and about half hour into our complainathon, thinly veiled as being very sanctimonious because we weren't naming some names or really cutting loose, we stopped because we noticed what we were doing. So then we reminded ourselves that nothing comes into our experience that we are not a match for. And we each said how we were a match to what was going on in our lives. They both shared about how they were matched to what was going on in their lives. And then I took a look and I had to admit that, of course, I was a match. I was not 100% of the time being loving and supportive. On the outside, maybe I was, but what was cooking in my oven was not exactly apple pie. When you remember that nothing can come into your experience without you being a vibrational match to it, all you have to do is pay attention to your own vibrational offering. And you save yourself, as Esther Hicks says, the enormous and impossible task of controlling the behavior of others. And the more you dwell on their bad behavior, the more it grows. It's like giving sugar to a cancer. The less attention you give to it, and the more willing you are to just allow others to live as they choose, the happier your life will be. And truly, The monstrous wife, the horrible husband, the cruel colleague are once again our greatest gifts because they are our biggies. And we all have a biggie. And it's easy to love those who love us. It's easy to have a great relationship with your ex if he or she is a saint, like mine happens to be. But I'm a match for a saint in that area. But when we can actually love the biggies, that's when we're deemed worthy, deserving, and allowed to have true growth, bliss, happiness, and a wonderful life. And here's the important thing. You see, it's not the behavior that we're being asked to love. It's the person's God essence. That's why we don't speak ill of others. If we do, we're speaking ill of God, of Source, of Spirit, of the Creator. However, and this is important too, you don't have to act like you love people if you don't. Maybe that's what Master John meant when he said, it's not what you're flapping about, saying and doing on the outside, trying to appear like something. If you're feeling one way in your heart and flapping about how great that person is, isn't that just as out of integrity as flapping about how horrible they are? A student of mine once asked me what I thought of a teacher and their teaching. So, trying to be very positive and not speak ill, I said some really nice things that in the oven I actually wasn't feeling. I kind of went overboard, actually. And then the student came back to me a couple months later and they said that they had signed up and taken a course with that person. And they were shocked that I had said such nice things. She felt that the person was completely disingenuous and she couldn't believe that I spoke so highly of her. Like, what were they missing? Well, if we're called upon to opine, there is always neutrality. If we want to be in integrity, we can find something good, but it's not necessary to go overboard to show what a nice person you are. And isn't it convenient that these people show up so that we have an excuse to not be in our power, to be a victim? They're the villains and we're the victims. We don't have to move ahead as powerfully in our life because we have them as a convenient excuse. So my two friends and I took a vow, and I invite you to do the same. We made a commitment to watch at every moment to make sure that what we're flapping about on the outside is congruent with what's on the inside. And we made a vow to see where we're using that relationship or circumstance as an excuse to be a victim. And we made a vow to no longer enjoy making that person the villain. And once we got that clear, we made the commitment to, instead of being powerless victims, to talk about and to have a vision of what we want to create. Instead of, I can't create it because of the horribleness of this person, what is the vision that we do want to create? The man with his finances, the woman with her relationship with her kids, and me, my relationship with those who it seemed didn't want me to succeed. And also, I made the commitment to look at it to see if that was even true. So I'm going to recommend that you do the same, but do some writing also. Ask yourself these questions. Who am I making a villain? Or in what circumstance am I allowing myself to be the victim and giving up my power? And instead of being a powerless victim, what is the vision of what I do want? And you might want to add this, what action can I take that will move my life to the next level? So ask yourself these questions, get the answers, and start acting on them. I think you're going to discover that it's not necessary to be powerless. It's a choice we make. So let's make a different choice. Sending love to you as always.